use cases of the value operator, how to club the different constructor expressions. So today we'll explore further on that. But before we start, let's quickly discuss on the assignment. So I hope everybody has worked on the assignment, right? Can I quickly get an update from you all? So guys, have you worked on the assignment? Okay, so anyways, let me just have a quick walkthrough of the same so that you can refer to the discussion like while working on the assignment, otherwise we'll miss out on the same. So the first question that we had discussed about was that, which was given to you, like you had to make use of the pipe as in the new concatenation approach to show the below output, and the logic that was required was that this will be of burner which will be type cat10, and this should not have any leading zeros, and the email ID which to be passed was only this, the principal part, not about leaving the domain. That should be in capital, and you can provide this for anything. Okay, the domain can be anything, and this the entire output had to be achieved on a single line, right? So the solution, if you see, there can be multiple approaches, but the approach that I had taken, so basically used the pipe operator and inside that braces, and used embedded string expression to achieve the same. So employee ID, whatever output was required, and then to add leading zeros to it, so alpha equals to n, which we had discussed about. And after that, for this last part where we wanted to convert this to lowercase and concatenate, so to lower after concatenating the same, and we have been able to achieve the same output. Any doubts on question number 1? Okay, so now let's proceed to the question number 2. So we needed to get the current timestamp and convert the same into this format. So this is your timestamp, right? Like the timestamp declaration that we use, and we had to convert this to dd.mm.yyyy.hhmmss. So I've just taken any sample, and so you can use this logic. So get timestamp field data for getting your timestamp, and for converting into that format, you need to use this embedded string expression by passing the timestamp and timestamp equals to user. This will give you a required output. So the next question was that you needed to declare a variable as select options, which will accept multiple material numbers as shown, but you also need to restrict the interval and the value range. As in, there should be no interval, and the value range should also be restricted. So how do we do that? So example, this should be the screen which is coming up. So for that, now, so suppose, and then if you pass the material number, this should be the output. So what we have done is we have called select options restrict function module. Now the only thing to be noted is that this part, like using a value operator to pass the exporting parameter restrict, which is basically of this type sscr underscore restrict, and which consists again of two components, ass underscore tab and opt list underscore tab, for which it's again an internal table, as you can see here. Sorry, it's a table type, and this component is also a table type. And again, for this table type, inside this, again, it consists the components name, kind, sg underscore main, sg underscore id, and op underscore main, which we have filled it here directly. And for this opt list tab, again, this is the table type which is having two components which we have filled it here. So this is the main part for which this assignment was given, that like everything has been done on the fly while passing to restrict, and this restrict is being passed here, and then the normal like select query and then passing the data. Then we need to create an internal table as itab, with this. So I've given the syntax also. This is the same thing which we had discussed about in yesterday's class. So Loganathan, there is nothing to understand in that question. Basically, you need to restrict your, so if you see your material number, do you see range is also not coming, intervals is also not coming, right? So we need to restrict those tabs. So for restricting the tabs, basically, we have used a function module to restrict, but the main part was how will you restrict? So for restricting, you need to pass the values for which you are restricting. So select options s_matner. So and these the values that you need to pass. So for this, we have passed everything with the help of the value operator. This is what the assignment is asking. Like you need, so you can either, rather than this, you can break it up. Obviously, you can break it up and then assign the components and create your restrict for which you are passing this data object here. But the thing is that since you have understood value operator, so you can do it everything here alone. Got the point? Okay. Now coming to the next question, already this is, I had given you this particular format, so which you needed to like fill in up the value by using the value operator. And once done, you needed to make use of the chained expression. Remember, table chaining expressions, table expressions with the help of chaining components to get the value, similar to what we discussed yesterday. And the date that you are getting, it should be in this dd.mm.yy format. So this particular record with respect to itab call to, for which itab is having column 1 value as 16 along with value of column 2 field 1 value 7. So this entire thing we have written it in a single line. For column 1 value as 16, then for respective column 2, then for column 2 for the second record, then again column 2 field 1 value equals to 7, and then again that we need column 2 field 1 field 2. So it's simply the whatever yesterday the concept that we discussed, it's based on the same thing. The table chaining expression, you need to club the same into a single thing rather than writing multiple read statements. And now I'd given a scenario in case if in this table chaining expression, if something which is not found, then obviously it will give you a dump, right? So then in that case, if data is not found, you can obviously use your default statement to handle in case if you want to assign any initial or some other text. So just this part, so along with the value operator, default, no such date value with respect to value non found. So which we have clubbed it, and we have used CONV operator because we wanted to show it as a string type. So CONV operator, value operator and default, these three things clubbed together to get this output. Up to this point, any queries? No, right? Okay. So the next question talked about that I had given you a piece code snippet, so you needed to observe this and tell me what should be the, so I have specified the width also. So if you see from this specific width only, you can understand this length of this output variable will be 20, right? But what will be the output above the above line of code, and will there be any leading blanks or trailing blanks, or if no blanks? So if you just go to the output debugger screen only, you will be able to see here that it will all be trailing blanks and the length will be 20. Okay, now scroll below, let's go to the next question. So we needed to create an internal table with having 2 rows and both are of string type. This first one will be like the reverse of our total 26 English alphabets is, then like put it in reverse order from Z to A and whatever date is. Then what we need to do, we basically obviously need to create it with the value operator, and then by using the embedded string expression. So the length we got from strlen, SYABCDE, and then the reverse of the same, and the today's date it. Then after that, by using the side datum and then offset values, we have created our tab 1 and then displayed the same. Then the next question was basically to like whatever flexibilities that you have understood now by using the ABAP programming in Eclipse in ADT. So how to fetch the ABAP element information view. So obviously you can make use of F2, click on @ it will open a different tab for you where you can see the ABAP element information view. So basically that's one what we wanted you to analyze. But apart from that, also the question talked about if you can fetch SO_ID and buyer_GUID from SNWT_SO table into two separate variables via making use of a select query with inline declaration. So it's nothing, it's just that you need to use select single from SNWT_SO in this way, @LB_SOID and then again @. So rather than using a work area to capture both the fields, you can individually use inline declaration to pass this into this variable and this into this variable. And then the last question, you need to create a selection screen where you will pass the airline connection number and the flight date, and after that you need to fetch data from the flight table based on this airline code and the flight connection number. And after that, while you are fetching this above data from the same, it needs to be put into a sorted table, which will have, obviously a sorted table we need to have components, right, which will have this. You can create your own components also, but for reference I have given char ID, con ID and FLDAT. Then you need to apply a 10% discount to that particular airfare for the corresponding table line, which will match the user entered airline code, flight connection number and flight date, and then print the discounted airfare of the same table line to which that 10% discount was applied. Okay, so obviously parameters for getting the selected data. And now here type sorted table of with unique key having these components. Once you are getting the data into the sorted table, then here, since we wanted to modify also, yesterday only we saw the concept, right? So assign while reading that part as a table expression directly to the field symbol so that we can directly modify and show the output. Guys, up to this point, is it clear or any other doubts? Any queries? So guys, any queries which you want to ask with regards to this assignment? Or all good and we can move ahead? Guys, can I get any response? Yes, Loganathan, we will be sharing this. Don't worry. You can refer the same. Any other doubts or any other queries which you want to ask? Okay, then let's move ahead. Okay, so let's proceed towards topics. So now, yesterday as we saw, we had already discussed about this COND and switch operator. One thing which I wanted to talk about today is that, so as we saw the usages of COND and switch operator, we already understood that in this case, here your condition expression comes into picture and here your condition variable comes into picture, right? Yesterday we saw the difference. At least when condition is required and else is optional. Now one more thing is that you can make use of throw also. So here you have the flexibility that if you want to throw any exceptions directly, you have the feasibility to write the statement throw and then whatever exception you want to throw. And as you already know, this condition you can repeat multiple number of times, and you can also club let with your COND as well as your switch operator. Okay, so as we have discussed about that, you can use your let operator in the switch statement as well as other constructor operators also, which we will see today. So you already saw how to use your let operator in your COND and your switch constructor expressions, right? Also, let can be easily used with your value operator also, and let's start with that. Fine. Okay. So types, then let's type TT underscore. So suppose if I want to create a standard table of a string with empty key, TT underscore TXT, type standard table of string with empty key. Okay. And now, sorry, so data lt underscore txt value, what I'm going to do, I'm going to use tt underscore txt. So tt underscore txt, and then let operator, it will come here, let demo text equals to what we are right. If you want to add anything, let me write this do. Okay, and then in value in operator as we saw yesterday. So let auxiliary variable whatever value assigned in, and now let me create the components. So suppose for the for this first row, what, so I'll write here doing. What will we be now for this doing? So now let me make it for this. Now I'll create here, so demo underscore txt and after that a pipe operator. Okay, and now for the one more component, let me write cool. Okay, fine. Yep. Now I'll activate the same CL demo output. So CL demo output display, and here I'll write lt underscore txt. Okay, so what will be the output? It will have two rows, right? So if I do an F8 now, so this doing came from the auxiliary variable, and whatever rest we provided, both became the two table lines for this particular internal table, right? So now this was a very simple example to use this approach. Now let me see here, if you focus on this one.
So if you see, we are not able to see your outputs.
Okay, 1 second. I do not know from yesterday why is SAP GUI, when I do the embedded output, is not showing. So let me again reshare. Is my screen visible now? Hello.
Yes.
Okay. So let me show you the output again. Guys, are you able to see the output?
Yes, Kabir, it's visible.
Okay. So yeah, what I was saying. So basically, we had created two table lines for this lt_txt. This doing came from the auxiliary variables value that we assigned, right? Which we already had seen yesterday. But similarly, like how you had applied the same for COND and switch operator, the same thing what we have done here is you can use the same along with the value operator also. So if you see this scenario now, here basically we have two components which are referring to type I. Now I want to create a structure, but the values for both these components I want to fill from the auxiliary variables. So suppose if you see here value LTY_demo referring to this particular local type, and then let x equals to 1, and as we saw yesterday, you can create more than one auxiliary variable also. Always the let keyword has to be followed by in. So after let, whatever auxiliary variables you are creating, followed by in, then use your components to assign the values with your auxiliary variables, and then you can use the same further. So let us see one more scenario now. So suppose, think of a scenario that I want to use an auxiliary variable to call a class method and pass that same in the output. Okay, so suppose, let me create a local class. So class, suppose date definition, and then end class. Okay, and after that what I'm going to do is, now here I'll create a public section, and inside this let me create a class methods get returning value x and type D. Okay, and now for this definition the implementation is missing, right? So again Control N1, create implementation, and the implementation gets created. Anyways, I talked about this shortcut, so you are aware of this now, right? So now here x equals to side at low, and now activate the same. What are the errors which came? Which statement is not accessible? Okay, leave. Not an issue. Okay, so now types. So let me create a date underscore tab, then type standard table of, I'll create this with string with empty key. Okay, and now let's do a start of selection, and now let me create the data date underscore tab equals to, so here again a value operator, then t underscore date underscore tab, and then open and close braces. And then after that, now what I'm going to do, let z equals to, this is my class, right, date, and from this class I'm going to get the value of the date from this method get. So static method get and done. Okay, then in, after in, now what I'm going to do, I'm going to create the components. So first record, so here what I'm going to do is, so suppose side datum, let me put example z -1, okay, and I also want to do the formatting also. So date equals to environment. Now for the formatting, I need to use the embedded expression. So I'll put this and this, and this, and then I'll put here and a value here. Okay. Okay. So z equals to 1. Now what I'm going to do is use a conv operator, convert this to the date type, z minus 1, and close this, and date equals to environment. Okay. So after this, this is my, from this to this part is my first component, right? So now similarly what I'm going to do is from here to here, now what I'm going to do, z, now instead of this environment I'll be changing this to ISO and just put a date. Now again enter. Now here I'll put to, suppose instead of datum I'll use the predefined type D, I'll make this +1, and instead of environment I'll make it raw. And one more component I'll create, and here instead of side datum I'll just use datum, and here I will use +2 and date equals to user. Now this different formats of embedded string expression, by using passing different values for date equals to, right, you will be seeing a big difference now, and this becomes very handy. So I'll just show you the output now for date underscore tab. So CL demo. Activated the same. Now let me show you the output. So if I do an F8 now, so can you see the difference in the output? This is .dd.mm.yyy. So this is referring to your, if I go here, now compare the same. When I use just date equals to environment, automatically it displays in your dd.mm.yyy. Just a second. And when I use just date equals to ISO, yyyyy-mm-dd, but I have done the Z, right? Now here when I use date equals to raw, this gives yyyyy-mm-dd, and when I do date equals to user, this and this output becomes the same. So either you use date equals to environment or date equals to user, the output will be dd.mm.yyy. If you want to use the raw format, as in how our particular side item D with 8 characters is stored, you can use date equals to raw, and if I want to use the ISO format, you can use directly this one. So guys, are you able to see the difference when you use different embedded string expressions by just passing the different values of date, how your output changes? This, why this becomes handy, because sometimes you may need to handle the output in that particular approach, right? So rather than again using any other approaches, you can directly use an embedded string expression to achieve your same output. Guys, getting the point? By the way, why any one of you did not ask me why did I use a conv operator here? What will happen if I use directly? So suppose if I remove this, okay, so can you see an error coming? That format directive date cannot be applied to the embedded expression, because it is not, once I am adding it, it is not able to convert to that date type. Now that was the reason why I used a conv operator. Guys, getting the point? If I do not use a conv operator, when I am adding +1 to that, so even if I remove this also, you will keep on getting that same error. So guys, did you get the point? Why did I add a +1 to that? Sorry, why I am using CONV operator here?
So that happens all the time when you use the expression?
So it depends on your use. So here I use date, right? So for date, I had to use it. So sometimes in case for some, so if you are using some other embedded expression, if for some cases you are not, it is not able to identify, then you can use a CONV operator clubbed inside and convert that to that data type so that it can easily identify. Got the point?
Yes, thank you.
And Ankita, someone you were asking, right, CONV operator, see how it is becoming handy now. So CONV, I am using it as a helper expression. Can you see? Along with the value expression, I have used let also, getting the value of this auxiliary variable from this class method call, and then I am creating the particular table lines for this date tab, and here I am using CONV operator to handle this particular issue which I was getting. So Ravi, when you, okay, you have used, right, D. Now can you see, okay. So if I do not, so Ravi, what you try, you leave about all these. Just try to do, do a side item and then try to do a +1 or something in an embedded, in an expression. You will find that it will be facing issues while handling the same. So the problem is when you are using this date directive in the embedded string expression, the entire thing has to be of the datum D or side datum type. So when I just directly just put only Z plus 1, you saw the error, right? If I do this and if I do this, can you see the error which is coming, Ravi? Format directive date cannot be applied to the embedded expression because it is not able to understand that this is of date type. This particular expression's output is of date type. Got the point, Ravi? And for that only to handle, we have made use of your CONV operator to make it of date type or datum type or side datum type or D type. That's why I showed all the different possibilities. But here it was not the case, right? I'm not adding or subtracting anything to it. Okay, cool. Fine. So let's proceed ahead now. So today, the important thing that we will understand now is that till now you have been using loop getting data from one internal table and or using a value operator to create internal tables, right? Similarly, there is one more operator called for expression which you can make use of to build your internal tables while getting data from either a single table or more than one table or multiple tables. So let me show you a scenario how you start making use of the for operator. So now let me see, I had done some declarations just for saving time. Okay. First let me show you from this scenario, not an issue. One second, let me have some water. Yeah. So usage of for operator to build internal table. Okay. Now here let me create types begin of. So suppose ty underscore ship. So suppose let me use the component the number, so cust num type tkanum, name type ERNAM, and then city type, I think it is ORT01, comma, and last but not the least, root type, I think there is a component called root. So root, yes, it's there. Now end of UI underscore ship, and then let me create t underscore ship type. We have been always creating standard table of, let's create sorted table of. So ty underscore ship with unique key cust underscore num. Okay, now data, so let me pass data to this internal table first. So value operator pt underscore ships. Now let me create 4 records for the same, and in the first record cust underscore num equals to suppose 001, name equals to suppose Oscar, and city suppose equals to Mumbai, and root R1 suppose. Okay, similarly let me create 3 more records. Okay, now I'll make test 2. Suppose this is John, city I'll change as Delhi, and here I'll make it as R3. This I'll make it as 3, this I'll make it as Ankit suppose, and this one I'll make it as Shimla, and this one is, let it be R1, and let me create the last record. This will be 4. The name, let it make it Srini, and city as Chennai, and let the root be R3 same. Okay, fine. So now suppose my requirement is that I want to build an internal table, okay, which should hold only the details of the cities for which the root is R1 from this table and to pass to other table, right? So normally what we would have been doing, so loop add this table into work area where root equals to R1, then work area pass the city value, and then append the same to an internal table, right? Yes or no, guys? So now rather than doing that, let's change the approach. If I want to make use of the for operator now, how do I do? So let's first create the one more table type, right? Because I need a table type for the cities, right? So what I'm going to do is, so ty underscore cities, I will put comma, and ty underscore cities type standard table of, and then ORT01 with empty key. Okay, I'll make it TT underscore cities. So now let me give data GT underscore cities equals to value operator TT underscore cities. And now how do I get the value now? So for that, what I'm going to do is use for operator, then for operator for work area in the internal table. So for ls underscore shifts in GT underscore shifts. Okay, and after that, what did I say? Where condition. Okay, leave the where condition now for the time being. So suppose after this, what is the component that I need to pass from here? I need to pass from here this city, right? So ls underscore shifts, and then what is the component that I need to pass? City, right? So now if I show you the output, just let me comment this one, and now if I pass here GT underscore cities and activate the same now, so what will be the output coming? You are seeing Mumbai, Delhi, Simla, Chennai. But now what was our real requirement? That we wanted to restrict it for root equals to R1, right? So now what do? After this, put a where condition and then braces open, braces close with a space after where, okay? And here if you do for root equals to the value R1, okay? And again a space before the braces you close, and again a space here as well. Remember that where you are assigning, like the specifying the component which you are transferring. Okay, now let me activate the same, and now let me show you the output. Now what is the output? Only Mumbai and Shimla. Now one more twist. In case of this, instead of this, if I make this as a field symbol, so here I'll comment out the same, okay? And now here let's make it this one, fs underscore shifts, and here also change this to fs shifts and city. So will I get the same output? And let me show you the output, and yes, the same output. So the point to be noted here is that this work area or field symbol, the usage of the same will be within inside this particular context only. Example, now that I've used fs shifts here, right? So if after this now I write fs underscore shifts, okay, or so now see here fs underscore shifts, or if I try writing like this and then fs shifts then city like this, can you see an error warning coming or error coming? Can you see it cannot be used here? So whatever field symbol or work area you are declaring after the for statement, that needs to be used within that particular expression where you are declaring this implicit field symbol or work area. It cannot be used outside. An important point to be noted, do not try using it outside. And also you do not need to declare it exclusively anywhere. So if you see, I had not declared this. I declared this at the runtime while writing my code, and you can directly use it here. So if you do not specify a where condition, there will be no condition attached. But remember, this is very having a tight syntax issue. If you like mess up with any space, it will start giving you errors. Mess up with any space, there will be errors. So remember that. So suppose here, now for this part, can you see an error coming? So you cannot miss the space. So please remember that for expression, work area or field symbol in your internal table, if you want to give a where condition, and then whatever for particular component you want to give the where condition, and then I am directly passing this value here. This is the very basic version. Now we'll go to the more advanced also. Up to this point, any queries? No, Prasad, it is not same with the auxiliary variable in let. Do not compare it with that one, because if you compare, now I'll tell you a scenario. It is also possible to compare let with for. Now what will you say? So now will your statement still remain valid? Tell me. Prasad, if I club let with for also, will your statement still remain valid? So there is no inline, I am not using any inline declaration. You do not need to use any for data or anything. The expression is written in that way that it will automatically take. So let me show you from a debugger mode. 1 second. So if I do F8, okay, and FS ships now, right? Can you see here? Now unknown, right? I do an F5. See this value came. Can you see FS ships? Type structure, flat, char like. Can you see? All these values came. Can you see here? Okay. Now again I'll do an F5, right? Shimla, right? Shimla, it came Shimla now, right? Okay. I'll do an F5 now. Now if I show the output, can you see? Mumbai and Shimla. The last value was Shimla, no, right? So you do not need to use an inline declaration here. It will be implicitly declared when you write this expression. Either a work area or a field symbol, depending on whatever you are comfortable with. Okay, now let's move ahead. So now let's start doing some more fresh complex cases. So if you want to make it GT ships as blank, okay, right? So now think of a scenario. Let's clear GT ships. Okay. Think of a scenario now. Suppose clear the GT ships. Okay. So now guys, what do you think? What will happen? Tell me. What will happen, guys? What do you think? Will it throw a short dump? Will it be initialized? What will happen? So if I do an F8 now, do you think a short dump will come? Do you think a short dump will come? If this is initial, obviously no iteration will happen, right? If that is initial, do you think any iteration will happen? No, right? So obviously since no iteration will happen, so loop at internal table, if the internal table is blank, it directly goes after end loop. So if I put a breakpoint here, and if I do an F8, so GT cities, right? So directly it came here, so nothing will happen. Because in the iteration there is no value only. So you will not get any dump. It will just be that the table which you are building using this for expression, in case if from the source table which you are getting data, if that is blank, the table which you are building will also be blank. Up to this point, any queries with the basic approach for? Okay, so just for saving time, I have just done the declarations here. 1 second, let me uncomment all these. I'll explain you now what I'm trying to do. So basically what we will try to do now, we will try to get pull data, as in build a table from more than one table based on multiple conditions. Okay. So what I'm trying to do here is that first of all, I have created a TT underscore customers table type, which is a sorted table of TY customer with the unique key customer details. Then another internal table which will hold the root and the root name. Then one more internal table which will hold the root, type and the value. And another, now what we will try to do is from these three internal tables, we'll try to build a table which will have the name, then the city, okay, and then the route name. So first of all, we'll try to build data from these two tables, name, city, and the route name, okay. And after that, the another one that we will going to try is name, city, route name, and the value by clubbing three tables. Okay, so first we will see a scenario by using two tables, then we will see a scenario by clubbing three tables. Okay, so now let us start. So now first of all, I want to refer to this declaration also while coding, right? I want to refer to this declaration also while coding, yes or no? So how do I split the data to refer the same? Can anyone tell me? Do you remember? So control plus minus, I can do like this, right? And now here I can go below and write my code. Isn't this cool? I do not have to scroll up and down. So even if you don't remember the shortcut, so that one which you gave, that is for splitting it vertically also. So control plus underscore, which I am using, sorry, I'll increase the size. If you use control and braces, then it will split vertically. I splitted it horizontally here. So if you want to split the editor vertically, so suppose, one second, if you want to split it vertically now, you can use this or control and shift and this one also. So let's use this one, okay, and let's scroll down and let's start writing the code. Okay, so first of all, let me build the internal table. First of all, LT customers, which is built on TT underscore customers. So data. So guys, isn't it looking cool that we are writing the piece of code for the same object but referring it to two different screens, splitting it? What do you say? So value TT underscore customers, and now we are, let's specify the value for this. So now let me put in period, and now let me create the components. So for this, what are the components? Customer, okay. So for customer, I'll put C001, suppose. Let me give this one name equals to test1, and then city equals to anything. Let me put NY, and route equals to R1, okay. So let me create 4 records. So I'll make it 2, I'll make it 3, and I'll make it 4, okay. So this one will be test2, test3, and test4, and let me write anything LA, NY, then suppose anything CD and DE. So route 1, let me make this as route 3, let me make this as route 2 and route 3. Done, okay. Now let us build the LT underscore routes. So similar to this, let's build LT underscore routes. So this will be LT underscore routes, value will be TT underscore routes, yups, and now let us change the component names. So here the component names will be route and name, right? So route R1, name will be, suppose the description is route 1. And now, one second. So Ankit, control and braces always splits into vertically. If you want to split horizontally, you need to use control and underscore, as I told you. So I think you can just cross check that shortcut once. So if you want to cross check, see here also. Control and braces. I was earlier splitting it horizontally. If you want to split horizontally, it is always control and underscore and not control and braces. Got the point, Ankit? Earlier I had split it horizontally, right? Okay, so now let me remove this and Control Alt and this, and since I want to make this. See guys, how am I using the shortcuts? So I hope now you are comfortable with all the shortcuts, right? So I do not need to create this. And now root 1, root 2 and root 3. Done. And now the last internal table. And this one is referring to tt root config and lt underscore, let's give it a short name, root config as this. Okay, and now let us give the names root, C type and value. So root is R1, C underscore type equals to anything. Let's write what? R1 is R type and C underscore value. Let me give it any value. Suppose the value is anything. Okay. So now let's create 5 more records out of it. Let me put it yeah. So now 2. So let me create 1 more record, and now using this let me create 3 more records. Yep. So here root 1, let it be root 1, let me make this root 2, let me make this root 2, make this root 3 and root 4. Okay. So here R type 1, R type 2, R type, sorry, let's make it as R type 2, R type 3, R type 4, 5 and 6. And let me make this as WHG, EGF. I'm just trying any values randomly. Okay. So I'm done with the creation of the data. So now what I want is that I want to build my internal table based on this name, city and root name. Name, city and the root name depending on these 2 tables. So what I'm going to do, data lt underscore root names referring to tt underscore names equals to value operator tt underscore names, and then let's build the internal table using the for expression. So now what we can do is, so how will I start? Can anyone tell me? For, so for what? Which one is the first table I can refer to? So this one LT customers, right? So for ls cust in LT underscore customers, right? After that again a for expression for ls roots in LT roots, right? So for ls root in LT roots. And now what do I want? Wherever this particular root will be matching here. So what can I do? So where condition, and then root equals to this I can match with this one, right? So ls cust and then root, right? And now let's create the components. So for the components, what are the components? So name, here what are the different components? There are components are, if you see here, name, city and root name. So name, for name I need to refer from this particular table, which is ls cust name, right? So ls cust name. And after that, what is the next component? City. So for city, how will I refer to city? City will come from, again from this. So ls cust city. And last but not the least, then the root name. Root name will come from ls root. Okay, leave that, ls root. Here, yeah. Yep, done. Is it done or do I need to do anything else? This LT root names is done, right? Yes or no? So if I just use this piece of code from here, cldemo hot data output display, and put it here, and lt underscore root names, right? So what will be the output for the same? If I do an F8 now, so can you see all the details from LT customers, name and city, and for the corresponding matching roots from LT roots, the root names have come, right? So did we use two loops and read and all? No, right? We made use of, what did we do? We made use of the for expression for this and this, then for this work area in this internal table with a where condition, and then this name, right? Up to this point, any doubts? Now let me ask you all a question. What if I write this for condition before ls cust in LT customers, what will happen? Tell me. Will anything happen, guys? So you are telling a syntax error will happen, Prasad. So if I do the same thing but in a different way, so what I am saying is this part I put it here, okay, and now here instead of LT customers, where I am writing, right, what if now if I add the condition where root equals to ls root root, what do you think? Will the output change, or there will be no output, or what will happen? No values for ls root. Do you think any change will come? Let me show you the output. Do you think any change will come? Output will be same, right? It's just that we change the sequence, right? Now tell me quick one more question to all of you. Don't you think for ls root in LT roots, okay, so if you see here, now let's observe here. For ls root in LT roots, I am traversing through 3 rows. For ls cust in LT customers, based on the where condition, I am restricting it, right? For whichever row it matches, then only pull the data. If I do not put a where condition, is there any other way I can restrict? If I do not put this, any other way can I restrict? Any other way? from reading and going through all the data any other way, guys? So if I write like this, from line underscore index, okay, and from which particular position will I use? So LT underscore customers, okay, and then this and this, open and close braces, and then particular this condition, root equals to this one and then this one, right? What do you think? Is it the same? Instead of 513, if I write like this, do you think there is any difference? Which one is better? Tell me. First of all, will the output be same or there will be any difference? This is the data. This is my piece of code. Do you think there will be any difference? Tell me, guys. First of all, will there be any difference in the output? There will be a difference in the output, guys. Why? Can anyone tell me why there is a difference in the output? When I have not put a where condition, why are you getting this difference? So for LS cust in LT customers, this inner loop, right, from line index, so suppose when the root matches, so what is the detail? R1. So when R1 matches this one, right? So what happened now? You got this data, right? Now again, for LS cust in LT customers, when this one, so when what matches, did anything match? No, right? But when it goes for the second iteration, what is the data? R2 matches here, R3, but why are you getting more data? Can anyone tell me? So if I show you the output again, can anyone tell me why are you getting more data? So first of all, you got this 4 data, but after that, why more data? Again, test 3, test 4, test 2, test 3, test 4. Anyone can unmute and tell me? When I am using this approach, why are you getting a big difference in data?
We are using the line index for the outer loop.
Sorry, the inner one. See, for this one I am using from this one. I have written in 510 for LS root and LT roots, and from LT customers wherever root matches. So for the first iteration, what will happen? So R1 matches with this R1, right? But it will pull all the data from LS cust, right? Now what if I had switched it to this one? Example, if I comment this one, I uncomment this one, and now instead of a where condition, now the same thing I'll do, but here from line index, this part, now here instead of this LT roots, and now root equals to so now if I show you the output, now here also what is happening? Can you see it is showing me very awkward behavior, right? Now if I add a twist now, so the twist is I'll comment this one, I'll uncomment this one, sorry, and now if I add this where condition also, now what will be the output? Now if I add this where condition also, what will be the output? Anyone? Same. Only 4. Why same, Prasad? Prasad, why same? Now I am again further restricting it, right? I don't want for this LT customers to read from all the index positions. I want it to read only where this root matches, and also to restrict if the root matches here also. So from line index LT customers, so suppose when it is reading it at particular, suppose root 2. So root 2, R2, it will not start from this position, right? Try searching. It will first start searching from R2 here. Yes or no, Prasad? And then again a further restriction if this matches or not. So suppose for R3, will it start from R1? No, right? It comes here, start searching here. If it matches, and then again this. I do not want it to go through for rows. So now is this particular concept better, or if I uncomment the same without a where condition, is this better or this better? Which one is better? Approach 1, approach 2. Which one is better? Guys, what's your answer? No answers. Approach 2, right? It's, by the way, when you are talking about sort, who talked about sort? So Harish, for root, if you see, all these are already sorted internal tables. At the declaration only these were sorted. All this sorted table, sorted table, sorted table. Only this field what I am doing is your standard table, that the table which I am building. Why approach 1 is getting why approach 1 is getting duplicate lines? Because see, simply, first of all, ls cust in LT customers, okay, then ls root in LT roots. So from line index, wherever the roots match, right? So suppose here what happens? R1, R1. Now this inner iteration will continue up to all the rows, right? Because I am not restricted it to any where condition. So all the rows will come or not? Tell me. Whoever is asking me that question, all the rows will come. Once again come to here, ls cust R3. For R3 it comes here from this, but there is no further row to traverse. So only one row, so 3 plus 1, 4. Now come here for R2. R2, so 3 plus 1, 4, 4 plus 2, 6. Then what? Again come here. So for R3, R3 again 1. So 6 plus 1, 7. Now understood? Yes, similar to your parallel cursor approach. Harish. See, when you are handling with this new syntaxes, please do not think about binary search and all. So I'll put a breakpoint. So I am in LT root names, right? So here, now if we do an F5, can you see how the iteration went? So what did I say you? First root 1, root 2, root 3. See from here, this is your data, right? So LT customers for particular root 1, all the data came, root 1, root 2, root 3. Now second it went to what? Root R3. So R3 matches where? R3, right? So root 3 came, right? Next when, what did it go to? R2. So R2 matched where? So here R2. So again from this 487, 488 line of code. So R2 and R3. Again where did it go? R3. R3 went to particular 488. Now did you understand? So for better performance what I did, rather than only doing this, first I want to start searching from only that row which matches my condition, and also to restrict not to get all the data from that row onwards. Also to restrict based on my where condition, so that You do not understand that this is a replacement. No, this is from performance perspective, but this stays as it is. Now guys, you understood, right? Whoever had that query, is it clear now? Okay. So similarly on the same lines, so if I tell you, will you be able to create another internal table that is depending on this particular TT roots max, name, city, root name and value, depending on this particular 3 internal tables? Can you do it? So suppose LS cust in LT customers, right? And then LS root in LT roots, right? And then LS RC in LT RC. So now suppose if I start building the same, so let me comment this out and uncomment this one.
Kabir, I have a question here, Ankit here. I want to know, like, how can we debug it line by line? It is a shorthand syntax, and once you are debugging it, so it is
step size.
One.
Your answer is step size. In SAP GUI debugger, you would have seen step size, right?
Yes.
You need to use that.
Okay, so it will show me line by line iteration in the debugging.
You will be able to see the values of each step. But actually, once you get used to it, no, you will be able to understand where you are making mistakes. But initially, if you really want to understand, you need to make use of step size.
Okay.
But see, once you start getting used to it, no, you will understand where you are actually missing the values. You will be easily able to catch hold of. Also, one more way to easily find it out. Like example, if you have 2 or 3 tables and you are clubbing like this, in case of any requirement which you get, okay. So if you start getting no values, no, start commenting one by one for expressions and see which one is causing a problem for you. So let me club 3 now. I'll tell you.
Actually, Kabir, once if we are writing the code, then it is okay. But if we are getting it for an issue written by someone else,
that's what I'm telling. If you are not getting any solution from step size, also no, start comment. So suppose if a person has written 3 for expressions, okay, you are not understanding, you can comment one for and see what is the partial output coming. Like comment all, uncomment it one by one and see what's the partial output coming and which for is actually creating a problem. Mostly what will happen, no, because of your where conditions, the data will start going here and there. Example, when I stopped where using a where here, did you see a complete change in the output, right?
Yes.
So those where will be very handy to create your problems. If a person writes wrong where condition matching wrong conditions, no, data will start going here and there. And also one more big restriction. If you want to build an internal table while modifying data also, your biggest friend is loop and internal table assigning field symbol. I'm telling you, this for will not come into picture. This for is for building internal table. If you want to use the same internal table and modify, your biggest friend is loop and internal table assigning field symbol. Understood the point, Ankit?
Yes, Kabir, I got it. We cannot change the values here in for.
Yeah, because what I never talked about changing the same. I talked about building a new table, right?
Right.
Okay. Oh, okay. So guys, can we have 2 or 3 minutes break? What do you say?
Kabir.
Okay, 5 minutes. Someone is saying 5 minutes. So let's connect at 8:54 or 8:55. Okay. Let's have some good water break. Guys, can we start? And someone asked me a question, step size supported, so you need to explore that. I haven't checked on that. Just check on once, or we can check now also. So let me activate the code. Okay, so step filters and all I have seen, step size basically I have not seen, which you usually see in your SAP GUI debugger. Maybe just explore on that once, and maybe we can discuss about this if we get a solution. But yeah, you can obviously use SAP GUI debugger in case if you want to use your step size. Okay. But yeah, please explore on that and do let us know. What do you say? Let's do a team effort. Right? Okay. So now, as we already saw for 2 internal tables, so your assignment will be for 3 internal tables. And I hope since now the concept is clear, I hope you can do on that, right? So you can build on that, right? If you want to build for 3 internal tables. Okay. So now, what I want to do is, now let me show you an interesting scenario. What I'm going to do is scenario involving inline declaration, COND operator, value operator, for, and table expression. We'll club everything together. Okay. Okay, so types begin of struct. So I will have customer number, type, or let it be of 10, and root value, let this be of type 10, and last but not the least, current date. Okay, and then end of struct. Now tt underscore date 1, type, suppose sorted table of struct with unique key cust underscore number. Now, so let me build the final table on this struct. So anyways, yes, tt lt underscore final, type standard table of, what is the name that I can give? Struct, yes, with empty key, and let me remove this one. So okay, fine. Now we will build using this lt underscore customers. Okay, where did it go? Where did it go? Where did it go? Yes. So the requirement is that from this internal table lt customers, we want to build a data to another internal table. Okay, based on that, what is this? When the customer, this number, if it is C001 or C002, listen to me carefully. If it is C001 or C002, then I want to build an internal table having these customer numbers, okay, and the date will be on your user format, and the root value for these corresponding roots will come from LT_RC. Okay, the root value will come from LT_RC. If the customer number, this component is anything apart from the C001 or C002, then when the internal table that I am building, then it needs to check for where the root is R2 only. That is where the root is R2 only, okay. And for that particular R2, the date should be on raw format. Is the question clear? Guys, did you understand? Okay, so let us start. So I will need to read from the internal table LT_customers, right? So loop at LT_customers into data ls_customer and end loop. Okay, so now data, this particular table which I'll build now. So okay, so then why if I'm using LT_final equals to, so better to use inline declaration. Why to use this? So data LT final. So now, so depending on the conditions I will be writing. So what do I start with? COND operator, yes or no? So condition hash. Now I want to read on the basis of when either ls customer equals to C002 or C001. So I can simply write ls customer equals to C002, but just for showing purpose, I'll just show you that you can club table expressions here also. So when value hash, what you can do, LT_customers, okay, and inside this, so depending on, suppose I want to check on the basis of the name. So the name was test1, okay. So name test1 for that particular customer, optional, and then this particular value matching with C001 or directly ls customer equals to C002. Okay, now once you have done this, after that your then expression comes into picture, right? So then now what, I will build my internal table on the basis of this tt_date1. So tt_date1, and inside this now I'll use a for expression for lsrc in LT_RC based on what, where condition, where, what is the condition that I'm going to put, where root equals to and root what, I'm going to check with ls_customer and root. I did not write. Why it is throwing me an error? Is the system connection broken or what? Guys, can anyone tell me, is the connection broken for the system? Because it is telling me the system server it is not able to reach. Oops. What horrible thing happened just at the wrong time. We were doing an interesting thing. Okay, let us put a drop to Zapier Raju, 1 second. Is the system connection still not back? Nope. Did anyone drop a note to Raju? I have dropped a note to them. Let's see. Anyways, at least let's continue till that time. So where condition root equals to ls customer root, and now after this, so now I'm done with this where condition here. So let's pass the components. So let's pass the components here. So what are the components? Cust number, root value, and current date, right? So cust underscore number. Now for cust underscore number, where I'm going to pull the number from? ls underscore customer. And for that particular thing, ls customer, what is the component? ls customer, customer, right? Now after cust number, what is the next component? Root value. So for root value, the root value is going to come from ls underscore rc, and for ls rc, what is the value? C underscore value, right? And for the current date, I will use the embedded string expression, and here sci datum, and then date equals to what? User. It will not even format also. That's the biggest issue. Okay. So I'm done with the component here. Now, so for this one, this particular path is done, right? And now let's go and put the else condition. So then else what I'm going to do? Else value operator. By the way, one quick thing, can you see here when I'm putting the cursor here, or example here, okay, it will show you this is for which one. If I put the cursor here, it will show you that this is for this one. So at least you can make use of this feature, so that in case if you get messed up with the braces, you can make use of this feature to identify which is that missing braces for which you are getting an error. Okay, else value tt underscore date 01, and now for ls underscore rc in lt underscore rc, again a where condition here. Now what did I say? Root equals to r2, right? So root equals to r2. Now for this, after root equals to r2, what we are going to do? So suppose now this for this, and now we are going to pass the component names. So the component names will be, now for these component names, similarly here, but there will be a twist here now. So ls customer, root value c value, but current date here I will make it as raw. Okay, done. Now why is that error coming? So this closure is which closure? This closure. So do I need any additional one? No, right? And done. But now the only problem is, since the connection is broken, how do we move ahead? So guys, is the system back or what? Oops. What should we do now? I'm just thinking of a good solution. What can we do now? So guys, what do you think? What should we do now? Anyways, at least let's finish off this scenario. So what are we going to do? We're going to append this lines of internal table to the final internal table, right? So what I'm going to do is, I'm going to uncomment this. I'm going to make this LT final 1, append lines of LT underscore final 2, LT underscore final 1, and then finally show the output. So LT underscore final 1. So guys, observe this code carefully, and now just let me, first of all, I do not know whether activation of code will also not happen. Not an issue. Oh. Let me reset the perspective. So let me close this. Which one, Ankit? DB access?
Kabir, actually, this 1909, if you can use it, because this is just the editor code. You are printing the values here only. So you don't need to access the database.
No, it's not about database thing. The problem is I'm not able to, how will I activate the code? Can you see? It's not about even database.
No, I'm saying that if you could copy and connect to other system, if it is possible.
That I can obviously try. That's what I'm trying. I'm trying to get some other server details.
Okay.
Let me try to add a project to some other instance server, okay? system ID S4H, custom application server. Let me get 103.44.1.203, instance number 11, and I do not need an SNC. Client is 800 and yard is 58, and let me give the password. Let's see if it connects to this system. Even I also have one more system here. One second, let's. So then again I need to add this. So anyways, I've tried adding this system. So let's see. Still it is not loading. Why? This is also not reaching or what? Oh my god. I think they're all system connections are broken. Well, better is we do not want to continue like this, right? Because if we are not in the rhythm to write the code, like we are struggling to write the code, right? What do you say? Because any system is not reachable. So what we will do is, rather than wasting time like this, better to call it off a day. And the problem is we are not even able to activate nothing, right? Because see, the thing is that this is a very complex scenario, like complex in the sense it's not complex. We were trying to do something interesting by clubbing everything. But if the system is not supporting me now, the problem is I want to show something on the basis of by changing something. That's what I was thinking of. But the problem is that the system is not even supporting me. We will not be able to proceed ahead. So let's call it off a day. From this point, we'll start on the next day. What do you say, guys? You all are on the favor of the same, right?
Yes, Kabir. Kabir, just will we get the recording for this session? Recording will not be affected, right?
Yeah, recording will not be impacted. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Okay, recording will be there. Don't worry. Fine.
Yes.
Let's call it off a day. We'll again start from the same point, from this where we are leaving. Okay. 1 second. Let me stop the recording.